Hi, welcome back to my channel, and today, if you haven't guessed already by what's on the screen behind me, I'm going to be talking about Star Trek Picard. Now I am a bit of a Trekkie. There are some parts of the franchise I like, some parts that I don't, but I won't go into that now. In fact, I think I've spoken about it previously anyway. Now whenever a new Star Trek show is released, then there's sort of that excitement and apprehension from myself, just because it's something new, and especially with this one because it's Patrick Stewart and obviously Captain Picard. So I'm a big Next Generation fan, so it was good excitement levels for me. It was unfortunately released on Amazon, which means I did have to subscribe to Amazon Prime while it was while I was watching it. But yeah, so what was it like? Well, I mean, before I set about filming this video, I had a quick look on IMDb just to have a look at some of the reviews, and there were some positive ones, there were some negative ones. Some points in some of those I sort of understood. Some of the reviews I just really didn't get at all, but I find that a lot when I read reviews on there, because I find that things that people say sometimes are just a little bit peculiar, or they just don't have a clue what they're saying at all. I mean, I read one review for the Gentleman, which is a film that I really liked, saying that Charlie Hunnam couldn't do an English accent. He's an English actor born in England. So there we go. But yeah, so I'm always skeptical about some of the reviews on there, but there we go. People are entitled to their own opinions, I guess. They're, well, you know what the saying is. Well, I won't say what the saying is, but if you don't know what the saying is, go look it up. But anyway, let's get back to talking about this. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I was a little bit disappointed by the final episode, and I'll go into that in more detail in a minute. But overall, I think it was quite good. It was a bit of a more of a slow paced kind of show. So it was like there was sort of like little stories in each episode, but they weren't sort of like when you had the Next Generation. Each episode was its own story or its own sort of two-part story, whereas this was a grand sequence of events getting you from the original questions about what's going off here all the way through to the end of the series, and sort of the final showdown of everything, and obviously all the little strings that you sort of collected throughout the series coming together. Now, and some of the reviews I read, did say that they found it a bit boring and a bit that, but I didn't find it boring. I think what the sort of the eking it out and the slowness did for the storyline was sort of keep you guessing as to what was going to happen next, and for me it gave that sort of little bit of an excitement level to it. You're like, something's going to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen. You're not quite sure in what direction it's going to go in, and it sort of, for me, gave you that sort of, ooh, where's this going? What's it, and I mean, there were some parts where you're like, I know where this is sort of going, or I know, but then again, I'm normally quite good at that anyway. But I'm sure other people would have got that anyway. But there are things where you can sort of you have an idea of where it's going, but you're not 100% sort of sure. And basically what started all off is this interaction with this girl who turns out to be a synthetic or an android. Obviously, Picard had data with now years on from his death, which he's still sort of feeling ilked about, and this girl turning up sets this set of events into motion, and he when we first sort of see Picard, he's just living his days out on the the family vineyard, kind of really just waiting to die really. And it's not until sort of later in the series you get a feeling that things may be more terminal than maybe we think. And then obviously it's revealed in the sort of final few episodes that he is quite close to death really anyway. And this is sort of potentially his last sort of mission, and he's off to sort of save the Federation from itself again, as him and his crew before have done. There are some good special guest appearances as well by Jay Ryan, Marina Sirtis, Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner. So it's, and what they do very nicely in the series as well is they tie things together with like bits of music and bits of sort of talk about the past, and it ties nice little bits that sort of weave through it from the Next Generation and the films and that. So that's quite good. I liked that because it has its own new start music and things, but then as you go through the series there are bits of the old music in that, and you just sort of it comes on and you're just like, oh yeah, I know this, and that, I think it did that very, very well. There are some characters in it from the Next Generation as well, some who do die. I'm not going to tell you who in case you haven't seen it. None of the ones I've mentioned though, so don't panic on that front. But it is interesting, and it does tell a good story. I think it's well written. You've got the good old adversaries are back. You've got the Romulans, and you've got the Borg in there. There's a Borg cube in it. And what's interesting about it is that if you're a fan of sort of the new films, which are on a different timeline to sort of the Next Generation timeline and films, obviously in the new films Romulus is gone, it's destroyed, Spock tried to save it, so obviously that's sort of an older way, where in this timeline not the same thing because it's happened in a different manner, but Romulus is gone. Picard this time is trying to save it and has failed, and that isn't sort of what causes the fear that the Romulans have that sort of takes us down this journey that we're going, but it is what led to Picard retiring. And then obviously you've got the Romulans, who are their evil, pointed little eared selves as usual, but they're deemed to be more friendly and more trustworthy now. However, that doesn't necessarily quite what's the word I'm looking for? The pointy end gets on trustworthy. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, it all accumulates into basically Picard trying to save a race of synthetic beings, and he has to find out where they are, where they're living, and he picks up people along the way, or visits people along the way. Some of who we have seen before in the Next Generation, some who haven't done some of the franchises, and he leaves Earth with this sort of ragtag team of people. He ends up going back to this Borg cube, which is now a defunct Borg cube, and is being pillaged basically by the Romulans. And there's quite a deal made of him about him going back onto this Borg cube, obviously after everything that happened to him with the Borg and everything else. About him struggling with that, and he leaves there and he goes to this planet where these synthetics are living. These androids are living. Now, that's all fine. That part of the story is fine. He arrives there. Then as it turns out, there's one of the synthetics is also not, shall we say, as white whiter than white. Is not necessarily good person. They don't have just intentions, and there's a lot of tension there as well, and lots of different things are set into motion. In the meantime, there's a massive Romulan force coming to wipe out all life on this planet. So Picard is trying to do his best to alleviate everybody's fears, protect the planet, and stop these other things happening that could destroy all of humankind. Which is a lot to get into sort of the last sort of 2 episodes as everything sort of comes to light. But I think they do the majority of it quite well. So Picard is there. At one point he's held hostage. He manages to escape. He takes his ship up. He's going to basically give his life to save these synthetics, these androids. A lot of it had to do with data and that. And basically, he takes his ship with one doctor on it. They try and stop this Romulan fleet. The planet has a limited defense strategy, which the Romulans pretty much wipe through straight away. Picard has tried to get in touch with the Federation and to say, look, we were wrong, we've done bad things, we need to save these people, but has no idea whether or not they're coming because they haven't turned up. So this Romulan fleet, so he's there, he does some trickery to try and slay them down, which works for a little while, and then here we go. Final battle scene is lining up nicely. All these Romulan ships are there, there's just him in this one ship, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they all warp in, all of these Federation ships, hundreds of them, it's great, all led by Captain Riker, who has come out of a sort of semi-retirement to lead this force. Basically goes to the Romulans, I'm here, I dare you, bring it on, come on. Never about to, but Picard cools it all down, and it would have been nice if there'd been a little bit of a battle there maybe, perhaps they could have done a bit more with that, but we all know that Picard is the diplomat and everything else, and values life and likewise, so the Romulans sort of teeter away for now, at least anyway, because there was going to be a season 2 with the tail between their legs. And off goes Riker and his crew. Now, Picard has pushed himself to the limits, and he's had something given to him to basically stop the pain, but it worsens the genetic fault that's in his brain that's basically killing him at the moment. So he ends up sort of collapsing on the floor. He's beamed down to the surface with the doctor that's with him, and he's there surrounded by people, including Seven of Nine, because she's there with the Borg cube. Don't ask, I'm not going to even go into that. It's too much to get through. If you've not watched it, then watch it and you'll see. But yeah, so he's beamed down. He's dying. He's there. The people that he's been travelling with are there. Everybody's upset. Seven's there as well. Oh no, is Seven there at that point? No, I don't think Seven is there at that point. And he dies. Now I know you're thinking, hold on a minute, if you've not seen this of course, if he's dead, how can there be a season 2? Well, this is the bit that I have an issue with. Basically, he's, like I say, this is a planet of synthetic life forms, and Data plays a part in this because strains of his neural net that were downloaded into B4 are there, and his memories and everything are still there in this sort of computer system. And what they've been trying to do is find a way to transfer human memory into a positronic matrix. This is one of the things that they were working on before everything kicked off. So what they do is they build Picard a body, an android body that looks exactly like his current android body, and they transfer his brain scans and his memories and everything into a neural net. Now, they don't give him sort of like super strength or anything like that. He will appear to be perfectly human, perfectly normal, just as he was, with an average lifespan as if he hadn't had this defect in his brain. Now, I know you might be thinking, what defect? If you go back to the last episode of The Next Generation, that will give you your answer. And but so basically, he is now an android. He's basically been made an android, but he's unlike Data, who could have lived forever had he not blown himself up on a Romulan ship. Ironically, he won't live forever. He has a limited lifespan, but he looks exactly as he did before, and so now Picard is still alive, but an android. Now, for me, that was just... that one bit didn't really work for me. I didn't like... That's the only part of the entire series, really, that I sort of watched and went, really? That's how you're going to fix that problem? Now, for me, he was the cutest of Borg. He had Borg implants in him. The Borg know him. You've got a Borg cube crashed on the planet that 7 of 9 has driven there, and it's basically been crashed into the planet. So you've got a whole Borg vessel there with 3 Borg in it, and you've got 7 of 9 there who had taken control of the ship and repaired it and gone sort of a little bit full on Borg at one point, just, you know, with her interactions with the ship. So for me, what would have been better is if they'd have then, knowing that the Borg ship was there, that 7 was there, if they'd have gone, look, is there anything you can do? He was Borg before, you know, is there nothing that can, you know, and they used either nanoprobes or some kind of Borg tech to fix basically that part of his brain that was malfunctioning. And I think in doing that, because I think if they can't try and concentrate too much on the fact that he's an android in like season 2, it's just going to ruin it. Whereas with this, if they'd have done it this way, because we already know he's had issues with the Borg and we know how he feels about the Borg, and they've already made something out of him going back into a Borg ship in this series, the mind sort of the only way I can think of putting it is the mind fuck that you could do with that going into the second season, and the things you could do with that further on down the line, I think are a lot more open and could keep the series on a much better sort of footing than what the way they have done it. I don't know why they didn't do that. Maybe there was a conscious decision not to do it. Maybe they have thoughts for the second season, but for a particular reason of whatever, I don't know. But you know, we'll have to see. But for me, that was the only sort of bit that let the show down. I mean, its rating on IMDb was, it wasn't low, but it wasn't high either. I think it was probably, I think it deserved better than what it got on there. But like I say, I don't really pay a great deal of attention to some of the reviews on there, because you find them a bit, people don't just, well, I don't know really, but people say things and you just wonder what. But yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. I think it's worth a watch if you haven't seen it already. If you have seen it and you liked it or didn't like it, or you agree with my thoughts on the ending, whether or not, you know, using the Borg would be better than the whole android thing, I'd be interested to know. So do feel free to drop a note down below. And yeah, we'll talk again soon, I'm sure. Coming up, I'm doing something on streaming, TV and streaming, and I have a video coming up on things to do during the lockdown, as most of us, like myself here, are stuck indoors at the moment. So thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Jet plane headed up to the sky, spread wings and the clouds getting